Stephen Christopher is the founder of Sequist Digital Marketing, a web marketing firm designed to help business owners achieve exceptional results. Today, we'll be talking about time management and some interesting ideas Stephen has about how to manage your time more effectively. We'll also be talking about business niches. Go wide or go deep.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategies, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute better than 99.99% of the population. If you know what to do but you struggle with getting it done, or you simply want to raise your game and start getting more done, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. We have an amazing guest for you today. Stephen Christopher is here with us. Stephen is the founder of Sequist Digital Marketing, a web marketing firm designed to help business owners achieve results they never thought possible. Before starting Sequist, Stephen started and ran several other award-winning businesses, one of which was a mortgage company from 2004 to 2008. With the crash of the mortgage industry in 2008, he learned what it's like to go from profitable to over $100,000 in debt overnight. From this failure, he learned more about business than any school or program could ever teach him. Since then, he has become an avid student of personal and business development, and his number one focus is helping businesses thrive. The primary platform Stephen uses to add extreme value to businesses is the online strategy and services that his agency, Sequist, provides. Stephen, did I miss anything?
Thor, that's pretty complete. It's funny hearing that when people talk about it. I realize sometimes I forget how many lessons I really learned from that mortgage company. So, no, I think you pretty much covered what I do and some of the things that I've learned a lot from in my professional career.
You know, it's funny. A couple of years ago, I went back and I listed every job and every business that I ever had. And I listed out the lessons that I learned. Literally going back to when I was 13 and I was kind of a maintenance boy at a hotel, because there's valuable lessons that you forget very easily.
Yeah, that's cool. After hearing you say that, I'm going to go back and do that. I saved business cards from every company I started or worked for, and they're in this drawer. And we just moved our offices, and I found them. I was like, man, I got to put these in some sort of a little book. But now hearing what you just said about going back and kind of remembering the lessons that I learned from each of them, I mean, that's huge. I bet you found some really valuable information by doing that.
I did. You know, it's funny. The first job that I had, it was a maintenance boy. I was 13 years old, and I was this old hotel on the Jersey Shore. And the first job I had to do was I had to clean off these big white columns in the front. So I had to wash them off and soap them up and everything. And I kept getting electrocuted. I was like, what's going on here? And of course, the owner's like, oh, no, don't worry about it. Just keep doing it. Well, anyway, the wiring was so old in the hotel that the water on the columns was actually seeping into the electrical cables going up the columns. And I actually was electrocuting myself.
Wow. You probably learned a couple lessons from that experience.
Don't mix electricity and water.
Yeah, right. Too funny.
Well, thanks for being on with us today. Our audience is all about learning the techniques, the tools, and the strategies that peak performers use. And one of the things that I always find is that generally somewhere along the way, a mentor or someone helped you get where you are today. Did you have one of these mentors? And if so, what did he or she teach you?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of mentors and coaches along the way. Probably one of my most memorable and one of the most impactful was a mutual friend of ours, Armand Sadeghi. And, something that I picked up from him that he helped me with over the course of a couple months is the power of our ability to choose what we focus on. And what I mean by that is that every situation and every experience that we have has a positive side and a negative side. And we as humans have this unique ability that we get to choose which one of those we focus on in every single scenario. I went through a kind of a little bit of a rough patch where he recognized and showed me that I was choosing to focus on the negative, even though some of the things that were happening to me were actually good things. I was only seeing the negative side of it, and it really messed with my head. And so once he kind of helped point that out to me and then helped me find ways to change it, I started focusing on the positive. And within like a day or two, just turned my whole mindset around and turned the amount of joy that I got out of the things that I previously was not. It was huge. So that power of focus when it comes to a situation and which side do we focus on, the positive or the negative, that was really, really impactful for me that I learned from Armand.
Was there a strategy there that he taught you?
It's really basic. The strategy was basically, look, as a human, you have the ability to do this. So just be aware in every single situation that you have that ability, and just being aware of it. That's kind of the strategy. Just knowing that, okay, something happened. Here's a positive and here's a negative. Which one do I want to focus on?
Awesome.
Really simple.
Awesome. Is there a question that you formed that helped?
I don't think I really had a specific question. If I had to kind of choose one that I was probably asking myself, and I probably subconsciously ask myself a lot still right now, is what I'm choosing to focus on best serving me right now?
That's a great question.
Yeah. So
awesome.
that was a really good one. And I go back to that and use that, almost, if not daily, at least a couple times a week, in experiencing different situations, personally and professionally.
Besides the advice that Armand gave you, what other business advice or personal advice have you been given over the years?
One of the other ones that, actually, I'll give you two. So part of our company values for Sequus, two of them that stand out and come to mind is, number one is ask a better question. And what that means to us is that a lot of times we'll kind of pigeonhole ourselves where we don't see a good solution to something that we're trying to figure out. And so one of our company values that's, plastered on our wall in giant letters is ask a better question. Because now if you can't figure out the solution to something, a lot of times we're not asking really good questions. And so now this kind of allows us to take a step back, ask some better questions like, okay, would this work? Is there a better way to do this? What if I did know a better way to do this? What would it be? So ask a better question is a really good one that I learned that we use a lot. And then the second one would be something I picked up from another coach and mentor, Hal Elrod, which is do what's right, not what's easy. And basically it's, to me, it kind of means being a person of integrity. So doing what's right when nobody's looking, doing what you're supposed to be doing, because, a lot of times we have two options. We can do what's easy, sit on the couch and watch TV, or we can go work on a project that we're working on or help somebody else or whatever it is, but do what's right, not what's easy.
Yeah, that's one of my core beliefs as well in all my businesses. And it's so interesting as you have employees, they come to you and they go, I don't know what to do in this situation. You say, what's the right thing to do? Well, the right thing would be to, do this, this, or this. But, we're going to lose money or we're going to do this. I'm like, that's not in the core values. What's the right thing to do? And then they go and do it. It takes them a bit of time to get used to that mindset.
Yeah, I think in our culture, unfortunately, we see so many people that don't do that. And so I think that's maybe why, an employee in that situation would not quite be sure which path to go down, because unfortunately they see a lot of the wrong path out there in the world today. So yeah, it's cool to hear that somebody else is out there doing the right thing in all situations, even when it relates to potentially maybe not making as much money or losing money.
Yeah, I've got an acronym. It's URPC bar, and the U is urgency and the R is the right thing. That's how they remember it.
Cool. I love that.
You are running a business. You are doing a podcast every week. How do you get everything done? You've got so much on your plate. We're sitting here, it's Sunday, and we're recording this episode. How do you do it all?
Yeah, part of it is, like you just said, it's Sunday when we're recording this episode. I use all of my time as wisely as I can, making sure that I'm accomplishing the steps and the actions that I need to in order to move myself forward to my big goals. if you take a step back when it comes to kind of like time management, right? I mean, we all know we can't manage time. So it's more about task management and then taking that to a next level. It's making things really simple. And what I mean by that is picking, one or two or three big goals that you're working on and kind of getting rid of everything else. We can only really focus on a couple things at a time, making sure that I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I have a couple big goals. I mean, for example, Sequus, we have a big revenue goal and a client goal. With the podcast, I have a goal of, helping so many business owners achieve success that they never thought possible. And then really, I just ask myself the question when I look at my to-do list, I say, okay, is this in line with one of my big goals? If it is, great, it stays on there. And then I schedule it out to whenever I'm going to do it. But if it's not in line with one of those big goals, it goes away. And if it's something that I want to visit in the future, it goes to, it's called an ideation. Basically, it's a Word document that just has all these ideas on it. And then if it's never going to be in line with a goal or I'm just not really that interested in it, I get rid of it. And then just focus on making short-term progress as much as possible. And we have a thing around our company we call monitor your minutes. So many people don't understand or they take for granted the power of a minute. In 1 minute, we can do so many things. I mean, we can say yes, we can say no to something, we can start a project. I mean, in 60 seconds, you could reply to like 2 emails and be done with it. But most people don't do that. I mean, they look at minutes kind of like that penny on the ground. That's like, oh man, there's a penny on the ground. Is it even worth bending over to pick it up? So think about when people come up to you and they're like, hey, do you got a minute? You're like, a minute? Man, I got tons of minutes. Like I can sit here and, BS with you until my meeting in 30 minutes. I got 30 minutes to kill. They don't remember or realize the power of a minute. So just paying attention to that and making sure that you're using all of your minutes to accomplish something, in line with your bigger whys and your bigger goals.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, that's so important. The one thing that we teach at Peak Performance Nation is if you can do a task in 2 minutes, knock it out. Don't put it on your to-do list. Get it done right now. Because that just starts to stack and stack and stack. And all of a sudden you've got 80 things on your list that only take 2 minutes apiece. Just knock it out. Be done with it.
Yeah, dude, I love that. I use that exact same method. If it's 2 minutes or less, then just do it right now. If not, then decide if I want to do it in the future or not, and then put it on a list.
So saying yes to things are so important and saying no to things. How do you decide what to say yes to?
It's got to be in line with what my big goals are right now. Like, let's say, for example, we got an offer to bid on a really big client that would have brought a lot of money into the company. But when I took a step back and really looked at it, when I was trying to decide if I wanted to bid that client, it wasn't really in line with our ideal client. It wasn't really in line with what our true best strengths were as a company. And even though, yes, it would have given us a lot of revenue, the amount of distractions that it would have caused and the issues it would have caused would have hurt a lot of things. It would have hurt our ability to fully serve our other clients. It would have slowed us down internally. It would have distracted key members of our team away from what they're great at. And in the end, it probably would have resulted in some sort of a disconnected relationship where, worst case scenario, we would have not done a fantastic job. The client might have left. Then, they would have been left with a bad taste about our company. We would have sacrificed who knows what other missed opportunities that we would have missed, like bringing in our true ideal client. So it's got to be, things that I'm going to say yes to have to be in line with what our big goals are that we're trying to achieve and what kind of my big why is that I'm going after.
And that's what I love about your company. You're very focused on a very small segment, and that's who you go after. And you say, we are the experts in this area. We're not everything to everyone.
Yeah, and that took some time for me to figure that out. That's a relatively recent thing where we've niched so much now. It's really started to benefit us. And that was really scary at first. I was always afraid, oh man, if I do that, we're going to miss all this business, or if we turn somebody down, they're never going to ask us again. Or, is there really enough business in these niches to make, a multi-million-dollar company? And, Yeah, there's tons. So niching was a really big thing for us that if you're not doing it within your company, I highly recommend that you start looking at that.
Yeah, could not agree more. You know, we all have core beliefs that identify who we are. What are some of your core beliefs?
The one that I mentioned before is do what's right, not what's easy. And that kind of, for me, that ties into integrity, being a person of integrity. So doing what I'm supposed to be doing, even when nobody's looking. That's a really, really big one. And then also just putting myself in other people's shoes and then giving the most that I can with my skill set to that person based on kind of if I was them. That's pretty much what I live my life and my work by.
Tell me about some of your important daily habits.
Oh man, daily habits. Awesome. So I don't know if you've heard of a little book called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod.
I heard it on a podcast that I think you broadcast.
Cool. Awesome. So that's what I do in the morning. So it's it's 6 habits in the morning that it's basic stuff. I mean, it's like meditation, journaling, reading, exercise, the stuff that we all know we're supposed to be doing that's been proven for, centuries that this is what successful people do. But so many of us don't necessarily do it. So the Miracle Morning basically just took all of those things, put them into a nice little package of a book and kind of showed you how to do it in the morning. So I do the Miracle Morning every day. I meditate every morning. And then one of the things that I do at the kind of the end of my day to set myself up for success the next day is I always plan my day the night before. And that's a huge one that's so simple that when I really started doing that, it made a huge difference in what I was able to accomplish. So yeah, just as simple as going through your task list the night before. That way you know exactly what you're going to be doing in the morning when you get to work, and you don't let other people start to dictate what you're going to do with your time. A lot of people go to work and open their email and they're like, okay, what am I going to do this morning? And they're waiting for somebody else to basically tell them what to do. Yeah. So plan your day the night before.
Yeah, you're going to run somebody's agenda every single day. It's going to be yours or somebody else's. You decide.
Yeah, I agree.
We've had the opportunity. We've known each other, 4 years or so. I've seen a shift in you recently, going back probably about a year. Things really started to amp up. I mean, you were a superstar before, but I saw something change about a year ago. Was there something that clicked or happened or changed? Or am I just wasn't looking carefully enough 3 years ago?
No, you're actually very perceptive. I've never had anybody actually pick up on that without me kind of telling them. So yeah, kudos to you. So what it was is I would never have like gotten on stage and talked to people. I never would have. I never would have recorded a podcast, and I definitely never would have done like a selfie video or anything along those lines. Like I hated video. I didn't like audio. Didn't like the way my voice sounded. I really didn't think that I truly had enough value to add to somebody else. Like I always thought I was the student in every room, and I had to learn a lot more before I was ever able to actually teach something. Well, a year or 2 years ago, or I don't remember exactly when it was, but somewhere around that time that you noticed it, I just had this shift where, and I think it was Armand, he basically told me, he said, look, by you not sharing the knowledge that you have right now, you're being selfish. So you're impeding somebody else from learning something from you that could really benefit their life. And so I just had this shift of like, wow, that's really powerful. Even if I don't know everything, one, I'll never know everything. So just do the best I can with what I have now. And if I can help somebody else by sharing an experience that I've had or something I've learned, then I need to do that. And that's the only way that I'm going to continue to learn better as well. They say the best way to learn something is by teaching it. So that was that shift that happened. And then when it comes to the whole audio and, hearing my own voice and then doing selfie videos, I mean, you've seen them. I do a daily Facebook video pretty much just about something that's going on or something that I've learned. And here was the very specific shift that happened when it comes to that. I realized that, look, I am who I am. My voice is what it is. I look the way that I look. There's nothing that I can do to change those things. And quite frankly, when I really thought about it, I thought, man, there's a lot of people with a lot worse voices than me. And there's a lot of people that look a lot sillier than I do. So who cares? Just be myself, be authentic, and try to add as much value as I can. And so really, I just kind of got out of my own way and essentially stopped being selfish. And that's what that shift was that you noticed.
Interesting. Well, it was very noticeable, and I like the fact that it was a shift in psychology. And that's one thing that we try to emphasize here is that those little shifts in the psychology and your belief systems can change the entire world.
Yeah, that's huge. There's so many people out there that have the knowledge and the power and the information that they need to accomplish what they want to already. They just kind of get in their own way.
No question. I don't know if I know, but I'm going to assume that you don't have regrets. But if you had the chance to go back 10 years and you had the ability to redo something or do it better, what would you do?
Oh, that's a good one. So about 10 years, let's see. Oh, yeah, this is it. So about 10 or 12 years ago, yeah, that's about the time the mortgage company and stuff. I used to think that personal development was kind of this like fluffy, really just kind of BS. I thought it was that somebody was a guru for the purpose of having a following so that they could sell a book. And that was it. Like, that's the business model of personal development. And so I kind of just thought it was woo-woo for a while. And I realized after the mortgage company failed in like 2008, 2009, when I kind of like hit a rock bottom, had no money, couldn't pay rent, couldn't put gas in my car, all that kind of stuff. I went back and started reading some personal development again, and then really realized, wow, this is not woo-woo at all. This is like centuries of really great knowledge based on what's worked for people. So what I would have done if I could go back like 10, 12 years is I would have started reading and learning personal development much, much earlier and known that it was really good, not just fake.
Excellent. Well, along those lines, if you woke up tomorrow and you were flat broke, what would you do?
It's it's kind of it's actually kind of exciting to think about that because
well, I have a wire transfer number that you can transfer your funds to.
Right.
I'm just here to help.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. I really do. I'm sure all of your listeners would share their bank accounts with me as well, or their numbers with me as well if I wanted to do that. If I woke up tomorrow and was flat broke, I would do the exact same thing that I'm doing right now. I mean, very specifically, I love the marketing space, so I would do something in marketing because that allows me to accomplish multiple things. It allows me to help other people succeed in their business, and also it's just really fun for me to connect with people and figure out how to get in front of people and create emotions with them. So I would do something in the marketing world, but more specifically, I would start another business. I love helping staff. I love helping my team grow. I love helping them individually. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to run a business and help other businesses.
That concludes part 1 of our interview with Stephen Christopher. Please tune in later this week to hear part 2. Question of the day: where in your life are you wasting minutes that could be used on valuable projects to get things done? Finding an additional 10 minutes a day leads to over a week and a half of valuable work time over the course of 1 year. If you have not already done so, please go to iTunes, subscribe to the show, download the episodes, leave us a 5-star rating. Please share this with friends, family, coworkers, or anyone that could benefit from this information. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. Please feel free to send us an email at info@thorconklin.com if you have any questions or comments. While at the website, please sign up for our newsletter. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing night.